Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Relevant. I'm your host, Trey Slickers.
And I'm Naya, your co-host.
We are here with our very special guests, Josh Maida and Dean Summerjeej. Dean Summerjeej, how's your day going?
Not too bad.
Not too bad?
Yeah.
I heard the dorm burnt milk. Is that true?
Oh yeah, somebody burnt milk in the dorm yesterday. They had it it smelled really bad.
It smelled really bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So today's topic is on teen dating. So I'm assuming all of us have been in a teen relationship before, but is anyone currently in a relationship?
Well, I mean, I guess that would be me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody else?
Nobody
No.
else.
Oh.
I'm not.
Good.
You sure, Trey?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Okay, so I've got a little statistic. So I want to know how this makes you feel. The internet says that only 2% of high school relationships work out. How does that make you feel? 2%, less than 2%, even some sites say.
I don't know. I feel like it should be a bit higher.
A bit higher?
Maybe. I mean, because like a lot of like my parents, for example, they started dating in high school. And like a lot of like the aunts and uncles that I know, like their relationship started in high school. So I feel like it should be a little bit higher than 2%.
I think it's pretty accurate.
Pretty accurate?
I think only 2% would last.
Really?
I think it's more common to see them working out in the Adventist church because dating is in a more favorable environment where boundaries are respected a little bit more. But I think as like a general rule for people outside of the church, I would say the statistic 2% would be pretty accurate.
Because they're not like following Adventist or
Yeah,
Christian
they're just
like
going for
boundaries,
it.
and
They're just going for it.
they're just going for
And they're
it.
not necessarily.
I mean-
they're not necessarily even trying to like get married. They're just dating to date.
Dating to dating. I think that goes along with another statistic.
Wait.
The average age of loss of virginity is 17 in the United States.
How old are you?
17.
Are you
Interesting.
17?
I'm 17.
You're 17?
We're all 17 except.
Well, I'm not.
Yeah.
17.
So
Were you
like,
gonna say something, Dean?
Oh, I was just gonna say my parents also started dating in high school.
Yeah.
And they worked out. But then again, that maybe the numbers were a little different from then compared to now.
Yeah.
Is teen dating good? Because I know a lot of people argue this, and like, is it effective and is it good?
It's like saying, is creatine good? You know, like
Is
Like-
for
what?
some people, creatine could be pretty bad. You know, like people with liver and heart issues, creatine is pretty harmful to them.
Okay.
But you know, for your regular person taking between 3 to 5 grams daily, you really won't see any side effects. All benefits. You know,
All
increases
benefits.
in memory
I would agree with you. on
and
this.
as well as increased muscle recovery, a lot of that type of thing, more energy. But you know how that correlates to dating.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
You know, teen relationships are a lot like creatine. You know, for some people, I don't think it's the most beneficial. Some people are immature. Some people want the wrong things out of those relationships. So for some people, it's going to be terrible. But for some people, you know, who know what they're looking for, who are ready for it, who are mature enough, who have their, you know, priorities right, you know, God being first, I think teen relationships can be a great thing.
You are walking on some thin ice right now. You literally have the task force dean standing right next to you. For the audience, creatine was just banned last night in the dorm.
It wasn't
So,
just banned. I'm
it-
pretty sure it was a reminder that it was banned.
Oh.
A reminder?
Yes.
Okay.
And also, I think the question is teen dating good? I don't know if that's really the right question to ask.
Okay.
Because Josh does have a point that it does depend. And I think as we go throughout this discussion on this podcast, we're going to see, as we dive into it, we can see why sometimes can be a good thing and why a lot of times it's probably not a good thing.
Yeah. So, why do people say don't date in high school? Are those the people who didn't have the relationships work out, or are those the people that did? Like, is it effective enough to even try?
Most people in high school are experiencing like the peak of puberty, and their hormones are going crazy. So that means, you know, they have an increased desire to, you know, probably spend more time with the opposite sex. You know, they're also having more of like a sex drive into them, and so their desires are different. You know, they're just I'm trying to think of a good word. They're just they get into relationships very quickly because that's just natural for them. That's just what they're that's kind of what high school is about, but it's not because it's like the way it should be. People aren't thinking straight. It's, you know, their hormones taking over.
I think.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. You said, is it because people, it hasn't worked out for them? Even like I was dating in high school. I'm still dating the same person now, and even I would recommend against dating in high school.
Okay.
Not because of it being bad for me or something. I just think that it is very difficult for young people, like Josh was saying, to be mature enough to date for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And when you think about a young person's mind and how it still isn't fully developed, our decision making is not fully developed, it is difficult for them, for us, to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
And when we do not have like good self-control, when we cannot have self-control in situations, it's very easy for like our carnal nature to take over, and we desire the wrong things. We can't hold ourselves back, and makes it a lot easier for us to make decisions that are not proper and get us into a lot more trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So, what boundaries did you have in high school, and how did those change when you went to college?
So I'm assuming this is only a question for me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, going to God in the first place, there's dating is not like anything else in the world. I mean, there's lots of rules at GLA,
Social.
and
Yeah.
and I think the rules are there there's a good reason for the rules.
Mm-hmm.
So that really made it so that like that was the extreme of our boundaries. You know, outside of GLA, are you looking for like very specific stuff?
Yeah, I mean, give the audience like some examples.
Well, I don't know.
You know.
Yeah, so in GLA, obviously, there's really just like, there's no physical contact at all.
Save room for Jesus, as they say.
Yes. So, I guess that changed a little bit. Y'all can like hug every day now or something like that.
I don't
Maybe not.
so.
But so that, I think that depending on the person, that can be good and that can be bad. Like I was talking about self-control. In my mind, the reason for dating for me was always, I'm going to find my future wife. I'm going to marry. Even from a young age, that was what my idea was. And no matter how unrealistic, no matter how many years that was gonna take. So for me, my mindset, dating was never, hey, I'm just gonna do what they call one night stand type of thing. That's not what I was looking for in a relationship. So getting close physically was never something that was like in my head. That's what I want to do. So at GLA, we have the physical boundaries, and outside of GLA, you know, there was no hugging, holding hands, stuff like that. But in college, we no longer have these rules that GLA has.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead, Naya.
No, I was just gonna, cause you talked about like thinking about like when you're dating, like you're thinking about like marriage too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I just like want to ask you guys, like, what do you guys think about like only date if you're like only date for marriage, you know? Cause like I remember I had like a conversation with my friends, I don't know, a year ago or something, and they were like, we were arguing about like how you like some were saying that you should only date like for marriage, and then some were saying that like you can date for fun, you know? like it's okay to date for fun, and like some were saying that, oh, you should only date thinking of marriage, you know. What do you guys think of that?
I think that's very interesting. When I've always been told that dating in high school is always more practice. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I think there's an element of learning, like, for at least for men, how to treat women, how to, like, you're looking for marriage, but you know you're probably not going to get married to that person, if that makes sense. Like,
No, I see what you're saying. Like, so yeah, I said, yeah, I was going into it thinking I'm for marriage, but that does not mean that I have the unrealistic mindset that just because I start dating somebody, I'm gonna marry them.
Yeah.
And as far as like learning how to treat women and stuff, for me, I learned a lot of that from just watching my father and how he was with my mother. Sure, that's not dating, that's marriage, but there's still a lot I learned from my father, because I'll do things and I'll look back and I say, wait a minute, hey, that was a lot how my father acts.
Yeah.
But yes, there's different. Many times you're not gonna necessarily find the perfect partner on your first experience in dating. So don't have the unrealistic mindset that I'm gonna marry whoever I start dating.
Yeah.
But I don't know if saying I'm gonna date for fun is the right idea.
Yeah. Josh, it looked like you're gonna say something.
I think as far as people like saying practice, I don't think practice is something that people need if they have their priorities straight. If your priority is in God, you know, in the Bible where it says, and Jesus grew in favor with God and man, as you grow up older and you have your priorities straight, you know, just like Jesus did. He was growing in favor with God and man. And, you know, and that, I think how I take that is he was growing in his relationship with God and he was growing in his relationship with others.
Yeah.
And so, you know, how you relate to other people and how you create conversation and how you understand both men and women when you have friendships with them. I think just having those plain and simple friendships, you'll be able to gain an adequate understanding, and God really also will help you along with that if you have your priorities straight. It's not necessarily like you need to practice and cause unnecessary pain and heartbreak to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, on the topic of identity, I think a lot of people find identity in their teen relationships. Is that good or is that bad? Like, are teen relationships what we should find our identity in?
No, that is a huge mistake. Like that's the bottom line on that. It's a huge mistake. You have to find your identity in God.
Yeah.
And you have to find another reason why teen dating is not always good is because we're still trying to figure out who we are.
Yeah.
And there's this thing, like I always hear, like, don't try to find your happiness from another person, but like you have to like find it within yourself. And like I really agree with that.
Or should we find it in Jesus?
Or even better.
So I've just been told that our time needs to come to an end. Where do we need to find our identity in? If we find it in Jesus, will the teen dating come naturally?
I think being completed by God. You hear a lot of people saying stuff like, other half. They're my other half.
My breathing
they
machine.
Complete me. The last piece of the puzzle. And you know, it's a concept that has been taken straight from those gushy ushy movies. You know what I mean? That the idea that somebody else completes you. I think the most important thing is that you feel that you are completed and happy in your walk with God, that you know you're not actively like, you know, yes, we're already made, you know, to have that want and to have that desire, but to be able to feel happy and content with you and your relationship with God, then you're ready for that instead of having it the other way around. People like to switch it, and it's the other way around.
And also, the person I really agree with like the thought that the person you're dating or like the person you're with should be able to help you to get closer to God.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, Naya. Like that's person I'm with right now, that's the first thing that drew us together.
It's Jesus.
Yeah. And how
That's
we could
awesome.
talk about that with each other, and we could share our ideals together of what
Yeah.
was important to us about Jesus. So, and as far as if it'll make teen dating come easier, knowing God first, you gotta wait for His timing.
Amen.
So whether that's now or whether that's in many years, the biggest mistake is trying to force something. Follow what God has for your life.
Amen.
I actually think we should close with that. That was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys for coming on. Again, this has been Josh Maida and Dean Summerjeech.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Relevant out.
You've been listening to the Relevant Podcast. Relevant was hosted by Trace Lickers and co-hosted by Naya Mamarimbe. Our guests today were Dean Summerjeech and Josh Maida. Today's show is produced by Alexander Winkler and recorded on the campus of Great Lakes Adventist Academy. Don't forget to check out our website, relevant.show. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for listening. See you next week.